This lesson will discuss setting up a for loop. The topics include: what does a for loop do? What is the syntax of a for loop? And how would a for loop be used in a website? Moving now to the first code example, we have an array called $days, which is assigned values which represent the days of the week. On lines 6 and 7, we have some styling information. Notice now the syntax of the for loop. We have the word for, followed by a space, which is optional. Inside the parentheses, we have 3 options, which are separated with semicolons. The first option is referred to as the initialization. In this case, we're assigning a value of 0 to an index variable $x. The second option is the condition. The for loop will continue to operate until the condition is no longer true. In this example, the condition is testing to see if the value of $x is less than 7. The final option is the increment. In this example, we're just simply using the plus or the increment operator, but bear in mind that you could also use a combined operator such as plus equals, times equals, etc. Again, as you saw with the if statement, we open up the block starting with an opening brace at the end of line 12. The block of code is then terminated on line 17. The block of statements within the code block are executed repetitively until the condition is no longer true. This is referred to as looping. In this example, the loop will execute exactly 7 times, 0 through 6. When x reaches 7, the condition is no longer true. PHP will then branch to line 18, which is the last line in this particular application example. The question then arises, when is for used most often? The answer is that for is used when you have a fixed number of times you need to execute the same series of statements. So moving over to the browser, let's have a look at the result. So as you can see, we have the days of the week separated with blocks using CSS styling information to accomplish the output. Moving now to the second code example. In this case, we have an array of states, the 50 states which represent the United States. Again, we're using a for loop on line 17. In this example, the condition is x less than 50. Again, the value starts at 0, which means it will go from 0 to 49, which represents a total of 50 values. We loop through the array using the printf statement, and in this case, we're going to render a drop-down menu representing the 50 states. On line 15, we have our HTML form tag. On line 16, an HTML select tag. On line 18, which is inside the loop, 50 times, we will have an HTML option tag where the value and the displayed option will be the same, the state for that particular iteration through the loop. On line 20, after the loop, we close the select. On line 21, we close the form. Moving now to the browser, let's look at the second example. So you can see here we have a drop-down list, which represents the 50 states. If we view the source, you'll notice that we have a series of options where each option represents a different state. This was produced by the for loop, which iterated through the array 50 times. In review, what does a for loop do? A for loop is used to execute a series of commands a fixed number of times. So for example, 7 days of the week, 12 months in the year, 50 states in the United States, etc. What is the syntax of a for loop? The syntax is the for command, followed by, in parentheses, the initialization, the condition, and the increment, all separated with semicolons. Inside the braces, we have one or more commands that can be executed repetitively. How would a for loop be used in a website? Wherever you need to create a fixed number of items, for example, a series of checkboxes, radio buttons, or a drop-down list. This concludes our discussion of setting up a for loop.